Hey, Steve, extended detection and response.
XDR.
What do you think of when you think of it? Extended detection and response.
I think it's a cohesive approach to security that unifies endpoint detection, IAM, cloud security, brings in telemetry. It's how we do cybersecurity today. What do you think about when you think about XDR?
I think you were reading Wikipedia. That's what I think.
I was reading a Forrester report, but you're close.
I think of consolidation, centralizing.
Yes.
And it's funny. So exactly what you said. That's my dog walking behind me. Um, we talk about this all the time. The average enterprise has, well over 50 point products that they use to secure their environment from the edge to devices to people to applications, 50 different interfaces, data that's collected in 50 different silos, and it's impossible to kind of manage effectively.
Right.
I have things like SIEM and SOAR, these different platforms that have been deployed by really big companies. For the majority of enterprises out there, they don't have a lot. They have 50 different interfaces they have to manage.
Right.
And XDR is kind of the response to that.
Right.
That's
It simplifies cybersecurity, and it's catching on. To read another analyst report, not off the top of my head, this is a market that's growing at almost 39% year over year. It's incredible. $4.5 billion market.
I think I read somewhere that by 2028, they're expecting, or this analyst firm, which I suspect we're both referencing, is anticipating, I think it's a 30% market penetration for XDR platforms.
So we're analysts. I'm going to predict 31%.
Somewhere north of between 30 and 31%.
Yes.
Yeah. But not all XDR platforms are created equally. We know this, right? Just like all software. Everyone claims to be open, but not everybody is open. In fact, they have open XDR, closed XDR, but even the open XDR, it's kind of like not necessarily truly open, right? It's open kind of from an API perspective. Anyway,
it gets confusing.
It's confusing, and we have folks here to help kind of clear up the confusion.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
So, who are our guests today? Do you want to introduce them?
You introduce them.
All right. So we have two folks from Hillstone, our friends and sponsor of this podcast.
Yes.
First is Adib Manssur. He's a product manager for XDR and for a lot, I'm guessing, other products at Hillstone. And Adib is based out of Ecuador. And fun fact, I met Adib in San Francisco, and he was the first Ecuadorian I ever met. So because I'm narcissistic, I had to bring that up. So
did he live up to your expectations?
Far exceeded. I was like, I cannot believe. Are all Ecuadorians like this? So anyway, welcome to the podcast, Adib.
Thank you for welcome. It was a very nice meeting in San Francisco in RSA. So when I saw you guys, Matt and Steve, it's like, hey, you are the guys in LinkedIn and in all these things that we are doing. So was very great to know you.
Excellent. Thanks for taking the time today. Secondly, we have an emerging rock star at Hillstone. And you can tell by the cool beard and the headphone. Rafael Santana, who is a technical marketing manager at Hillstone and covers all things cybersecurity. Rafael, we haven't met before. You, Steve, and I haven't met before, but thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit of where are you from in Mexico? What city are you in? And yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for inviting me to this podcast. I am very glad to be joining you. Where I'm from in Mexico, I live in a little town that is like 1 hour, 3 minutes ago from Mexico City. But it's like surrounded by nature, by woods. So I really like it. I am an outdoor person. I enjoy a lot going to the woods for a hike. So that's a good fit for me. A lot of people from here wants to move away to the big city. I'm not. I like small cities.
Excellent.
And a survivalist. I like it. Hey guys, so you heard us talking kind of in the opening about, how we perceive XDR. What do you guys think? Are we on? Are we off? Or, would you like to add some color to what we're saying about kind of XDR in general?
I think that both ideas that you mentioned was actually truly correct. But what we can add to this kind of definition is like, XDR, as the name said, is like extended detection or response. It's like it's another way, or it's some added way to do these kind of things. Because in these times, all the companies are having a lot of security products. We can name firewalls, we can name EDR, we can name NDR, etc. But sometimes they are not consolidation, all this information. And of course, with this information, they can, because they have like one C to understand all the situation. Maybe they can understand in a better way if they have all the information in one solution. So XDR is this kind of things. It's like, okay, we are consolidation, the thing, and we are, understanding better what is the actual situation of, this company. So with these kind of things, we can take a better ideas to see what's going on in the net.
Of course. Also, well, I like to speak using metaphors for those who are not techie can
Mhm.
grasp it. So I think that the XDR can be explained like if there's a new sheriff in town. You have your, for example, your officers, but your officers are doing the reports individually. So sometimes it's different. It's difficult to manage all these reports, to notice, to correlate threats, for example. And this sheriff slash Sherlock Holmes, because it gives orders, it can implement uh, order to firewalls as other devices, but it also correlates. It is proactively investigating, doing research about how threats correlates to each other. So it is a smart way of dealing with the threats that are emerging every day in the networks, right? I think that also for Hillstone Networks, XDR right now it is the top in Houston's in Houston's vision, which is integrative cybersecurity.
Okay. So it sounds like XDR simplifies by consolidating. But is it complex to set up? What's involved in deploying an XDR solution?
No, actually, I don't think that the XDR is kind of complex. Could be, I think could be, but in the way that we are doing, it's like it's very simple. Actually, the the bigger implementations that we are doing around the world is like
Mhm.
we are not needing any other Hillstone solution platform. So it's like our XDR can be deployed or can be used. um, it can be combining with other kind of solution or other kind of vendors. So this is, in the way that all users that are using any kind of vendors, they can do or they can use this XDR. I think that one of the highlights of any XDR, not just in Hillstone, it it has to be like this. It's like easy way to deploy, easy way to use. Maybe because this is XDR, it's like a product to have the consolidation of all the information.
Right.
So you have to consolidate with all kind of vendors.
Of course. And for example, no, I think that just to add to Adib's comments, XDR is a solution which it has been created not only for high majority security teams. XDR can also aid low majority security teams to consolidate and to have a wider vision and more strict control in their assets and their networks.
That's, it's funny you say that, Rafael, because that's something when I was reading through about XDR that I found very interesting. It's and Steve hits on this with the complexity question around there are companies when you look at maturity models for IT, or for security. There are organizations that are really well built out, or really, built out with a lot of people, a lot of process, a lot of governance, and they might employ like SIEM to kind of drive that, but you've got a large team to manage it. But XDR provides a lot of that functionality for if you go downstream a little bit, for those teams that don't have 100 security professionals, and don't have the huge budgets. XDR provides a good chunk of that same functionality for those organizations. Is that fair to say, or?
Yes, actually, please.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please, Adib.
Okay, actually, I think that one of the most key features that any kind of XDR has to be, or is designed to, is like this. Is okay. Of course, you don't have one company. You don't have, or you don't have to hire more IT professionals about the security or about the cybersecurity, but you can hire, for example, one company that provides me our XDR solution. So this XDR is a solution that can understand very well what is your actual situation about the cybersecurity part. Not using, of course, a lot of professionals to see what's going on in the dashboard, for example. It's very easy to understand. It's very easy to take decisions according, of course, to the information that we got it. Rafa, please. Sorry.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I completely agree with you, and always think that, for example, for managed security service providers or for managed detection and response providers, it is also a great option to use because, as you have said, it consolidates and it streams all the information, the logs, and the analysis from this into one single report. Instead of it being looking for reports from this device, this other device, sometimes it's impossible to manage, right? So that's making it more simpler.
And does it also consolidate the security view across cloud boundaries? I mean, every enterprise today has some presence in the cloud. So does XDR protect both my on-prem and my cloud? And is it unified?
Yes, as we said, it's like the extended detection response is like, okay, what is the way that you are doing this kind of response? Or what is the way that you are doing this kind of detection? So again, the XDR should do or should have the ability to obtain any kind of information of any kind of environment. Should be a cloud, could be an enterprise, and of course, we are not talking too much about the response, but I'm taking advance of that. But the response is very important to do that because okay, you are having a deployment in the cloud, let's say whatever cloud, or in the enterprise, in the local enterprise. Okay, we have to take some kind of responses using any kind of vendor. So this is the concept of EDR applying, and of course Hillstone XDR is doing that.
Yes, and for example, for just for cloud, for example, just to mention some Hillstone products, for example, Cloud Hive, that is for micro-segmentation, Cloud Armor for cloud workload protection platform, and also Cloud Edge, which is a virtual firewall, the next generation firewall, sorry. They all can be implemented as sensors for this XDR, right? And to implement this automated response, which is one of the key features, like having these playbooks that if this happens, what next? What maybe this is maybe this event, there is an event happening in the middle of the night. There's no one to attend this event. But well, we have these playbooks and we can automate these responses. Like if A happens, well, then trigger B, and the result should be C, right? This is one of the key features.
Yeah. If then, if and then. So with saying all of that, this is kind of off the cuff, but I have to think that, for organizations, this isn't just a security play. This is a huge cost savings play too, right? Both directly and indirectly, right? Directly in how many people you need to manage, directly in, how many applications you deploy, but also indirectly in, cost savings from being able to respond to incidents faster, or, being able to, because you can see across all of your security solutions, kind of being able to correlate and make smarter decisions quicker. Have you seen, or can you speak to, whether it's through Hillstone or just in general, kind of, what you've seen from, customers out there that are deploying XDR and what they say about that?
Yes, actually, the first concept about what customers are asking to Hillstone, of course, about XDR is like they want to consolidate all the information. Uh, but of course, they are, thinking about some worries, maybe because they already use XDR platform with with other kind of vendor. So they are thinking about always the pricing, always.
Yeah.
So this is like a very very important thing, of course, that the market is instead have to thinking about or are thinking about XDR. So, but about the functionalities, what I can say is like all the enterprise, all the companies actually are thinking about one kind of solution that can consolidate all the information, that can respond to any kind of vendors, that can integrate with the cloud, with the enterprise, with all kind of solutions, or even, for example, using in the nodes in order to microservices, for example. So they are thinking about that. So this is a very good time for us, of course, to Hillstone to promote our XDR.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see anything, Rafael, with customer feedback on, kind of cost savings, organizational savings, efficiency, all that?
Of course. Well, for example, there's a lot of customers which are interested in the XDR. Sometimes they have different breeds, right? Different vendors from
Mhm.
different solutions, and what they sometimes worries them is that if the XDR can be fully integrated with these other products they have, right? This is like the challenge of the XDR. Like not only ingest the logs, not only ingest the metadata, it's also to standardize it.
Yeah.
So once it has been standardized, it can be correlated. Because if you, for example, if you are speaking in French, Steve is speaking in German and speaking in Spanish, and no one understands each other language, how can we correlate if we are speaking about the same thing, right? So this is one of the biggest challenge, and I think that's one of the key or core features that should be that customers should think about before getting an XDR solution.
So to that, Steve, I know you have a question. If I could just jump in real quickly and then let you take it from there. So to that, we said at the top of the discussion, not all XDR solutions are created equal, right? And not all are open. And it's like to the very benefit of XDR is that primary use case is consolidation. It's centralizing. So you have a data lake that can get, you can access all of your log information, all of your, right? That's the beauty of XDR. But if you can't integrate those security solutions, then the value of an XDR platform falls apart, right? Because you never realize your potential. So, what would you recommend to customers who are considering XDR? What are the questions they should ask? What are the things they should look for in, in finding the right XDR solution for them?
Okay. For me,
Hold on, I'm just going to add one more thing, because it gets extra confusing, because there are companies out there that actually talk about open XDR when it's really not open at all. It's only open to their own products, right? That's why I want to that's what I want to add at the end there. Sorry.
yeah, but actually that could happen because even in Hillstone with kinds of solution, for example, or firewalls or microsegmentation solution, etc. Of course, we are integrated with just our solutions, with Hillstone solutions. Okay, but because this is like the objective, this is like the scope of these solutions. But the scope of the XDR needs to be very open, even to work with any kind of solution, any kind of vendors, even in Linux servers, for example, Linux, Windows devices, etc. So the XDR is like, like the primary concept, the main concept of the XDR is have open solution, is have to be an open solution in order to work with any kind of vendor. So the first things that, if I am the customer, or if I am selling to the customer, is like, okay, do you want XDR? Okay. The first thing is, I have to change something in my network. Do I have to to buy any other solution in order to reach the 100%, for example, of your XDR solution?
Yeah.
This is a very important question, because sometimes the XDR vendors is like, okay, we are doing, but if you don't have these things, okay, you are not going to reach what exactly XDR in 100% can do. This is one, because but we, of course, we can ask a lot of things about what they have to ask about XDR. But yes, this is, I think, most important.
How about you, Rafael? Anything on that?
No, I think that Adib has mentioned the full scope. Full scope, yeah.
So it sounds like XDR solves all my problems, right? So if I'm an enterprise IT guy, and thankfully I'm not, but if I was an enterprise IT guy, is there still a place for kind of point solutions, or is XDR the wave of the future?
Well, XDR as you said, is like a solution that can solve a lot of problems. But the thing here is, like, XDR is like the brain of the operation. But of course, we are still needing a lot of hands, a lot of hands. So, for example, in order to what actually what Gartner is saying is like the greatest detection efficiency with combining with other kind of security products. So I am not saying that you need to use Hillstone product solutions, but of course maybe you are going to need an EDR. Okay, so in the XDR we can understand all the things that is happening, but of course you have to use an EDR solution with any vendor that you are using. Let's say, for example, cloud.
Mhm.
In the cloud, you're still needing, for example, now we are using this concept about CWPP, Cloud Armor, Cloud Hive, microservices, microsegmentation, etc. So of course, if you want to take some actions in these solutions, in these environments, using XDR, that you have to still having some kind of agents, firewalls, etc. in this kind of environments. So of course, you need hands. XDR is like the brain, but you still need hands, legs, etc.
Okay. My understanding
So
of XDR. Go ahead. Sorry, Rafael.
I like to make a comparison with this. Like, for example, I think like it's like it is impossible to be a standalone solution, right? We all need from others to push us as teams, for example. Where you work in an enterprise, you cannot do everything by yourself. You need a team. You need people who are specialized in this area or other areas. So combining the what each of the individuals can afford to the team, That's what the XDR is going to collect them all. And that's the job of the XDR, is to collect from all the sensors, all the and all the devices. It is impossible to think in what a single stand solution for everything, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm regurgitating back to y'all what you're saying, XDR is like a big ingest engine. It takes all of this data from all of these point solutions, from the cloud, from the edge, from the endpoint, takes them all, puts it in a data lake, correlates all this data, builds intelligence around it, and says, based on all this data that's being collected around the network, oop, I see something, I hear something, or I see this happening through this point solution. This is happening in this point solution, which must mean it's this kind of attack, and let's respond to it. Right? That's when you talk about the brains and the sensors. That's kind of where you're going with this, right? It's the platform that takes it all in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like,
Go ahead.
oh, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Just like that. It's like, for example, it is like a threat intelligence within your network, within your perimeter, for saying in that in some ways. For example, if we share our experiences, like, oh, you know what happened to me last week? I got rough. This happened. Oh, what happened? And then I share with you what happened. So the XDR is going to distribute to all of us. Like, okay, if you no, don't go that way. If you receive this, do not open it. So that's how the XDR works, right? Like putting all together. So in sake of enhanced security.
Yep. I got you. So going back to the not all XDR platforms are created equal, right? Some are better than others. Some are more open than others. Some work better. I think they all probably work better when they're working with their own point solutions. What makes Hillstone stand out in a crowded market? If I'm a customer, why would I consider Hillstone's XDR platform instead of your competitors?
Actually, this is a very tricky question, because all vendors can say a lot of things about in this part, but Hillstone, what we say is like, okay, when you are buying, when you are testing an XDR solution, we are not going to ask about how many devices you are going to need, or you are going to need to be secure. Okay, we are just going to ask about, okay, how many kind of events you are processing, and okay, we are going to size what kind of solution. So
Mhm.
Actually, we don't care about some agents, or we are not selling this part. We are just selling the XDR solution, and of course how much processing it can do, but nothing else. So this is very important, because as I said before, one of the pain points of the customer is like the pricing. So if you are adding more and more and more agents, processing, product, solution, of course, you are raising the price. So in this way, Hillstone, we can say that it could be like optimized solution in this way. Of course, we can integrate with any other vendor, any kind of vendors that that is in the market now. Actually, some XDR, they can say the same. It's like, okay, we can do the same, but the good part here is like Hillstone, for example, you can integrate, let's say, vendor A. We are not saying any names, but you have vendor A, and you want to integrate our XDR solution with your vendor A, okay? But Hillstone in the XDR doesn't have, for example, any playbook. We don't have any playbook with the vendor A, but we have to create, because you are our customer. So we are going to create these kind of playbooks and these scripts in order that you can use 100% of the XDR solution. So, but we are not receiving any more payment about creating this development for you.
Sure.
Other XDR vendors, they are going to ask, okay, what kind of a correlation or what kind of integration you want. Okay, you have to pay, this fee, etc. So this is, I think, this is a very unique solution. Of course, Hillstone is not just doing XDR. As you know, actually, we are doing, for example, CWPP, Cloud Hive, Cloud Armor, etc. So we can go very deep in the network using our integration, because of course the integration using other vendors is different if you are doing this integration with Hillstone solutions. Okay, we are like, knowing better, and we can do like a very improvement using that. So Hillstone with the XDR, and of course combining with other Hillstone solutions, can go very deeply inside of your network, even reaching the microservices, for example.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about that, I don't want to go too far into this, but when you talk about that deep level of integration with vendor A, vendor B, vendor C, is that an API driven kind of integration? You're kind of abstracting data or ingesting data from, through APIs, or is
Yes,
there?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, of course. Yeah. We can integrate. We have, these solutions can integrate with API solutions, and of course we can, as Rafa said, is like all of these vendors are speaking in any kind of language that they are using.
Yeah.
But in the XDR, we have to understand any kind of language, so we can build these. The language is the log. Finally, is the log. So we can build this construction of the log, how we can understand this log, and we are going to receive in order to have like a standard language using in the XDR.
Got it. Okay, that's good. Very good. Steve, did you want to jump in with anything? I didn't mean to.
Go ahead.
Rafael, so from your perspective, do you find, we at the outset, and I don't want to drag this on too long, but I'm kind of curious from what you see in the field when you talk to customers. Steve and I tend to talk in abstract, me probably more than Steve because he's smarter than I am. But when we hear about 50, you're not supposed to agree with that, Adib. I saw you kind of nod your head. Um, so when we talk about 50 different solutions, all these different vendors, do you see this out in the real world? Do you find that there is a lot of different security vendors that are being sold into every company?
Yeah, well, from what can I see from in the region we are, Latin America, is that yeah, they have a lot of different vendors. They have a wide range of vendors, and sometimes that's why it's so difficult to consolidate, right? But I think that what attracts a lot the customers to the XDR, the clients to the XDR, is that you can do more with less. Sometimes uh, you don't need because for example you have a single uh, dashboard in which you can have a deep look into into all your network. And sometimes with you have 15 different vendors, you have 15 different dashboards. If your team is if you have a small team with maybe 3 persons in that team, it's going to be very difficult for them to manage all, right?
Yeah.
So I think that one of the ideas of the XDR is to reduce the amount of providers needed for the network security, to consolidate in a reduced number. But also, if that's not possible to do it right away, well, the XDR is going to give you this single pane of glass, where you can have the full scope, right? The full picture.
This is a real world problem. This is where I was kind of going. This is a real world problem. Every company is dealing with it. XDR isn't just a different kind of solution that is kind of vendors are pushing to try and sell between SIEM and MDR or something. This is a legitimate real world problem that every enterprise essentially faces or virtually faces, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think?
Uh,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, yeah. Actually, what you say is actually the truth. I think that the XDR is one of the solutions that can consolidate all the information, can speak in one language, can standardize all the cybersecurity part, and of course the response part. But of course, it's not the unique solution that the enterprise are are need to in order to face these kind of issues. Of course, they have to think about more than XDR solution. But yes, one very good step to start to begin is having an XDR with Hillstone, of course.
There you go. Excellent.
Yes, I think you answered the question I was going to try and wrap this up with, which is, if I'm an IT guy, how should I think about XDR and what are the next steps I should take? You say call Hillstone. What else should I?
Of course.
Yeah. Actually, the XDR in Hillstone we call iSource. This is a very easy solution, actually, very easy solution to run, and of course, we are having all the things that we are talking about. So we can, correlate. Actually, for example, we have this integration with Nessus. Nessus is like this solution that can scan all your network and can think about what is happening inside of your network. And Hillstone can obtain this report from Nessus, and we can think about the remediation part. So this is the way that all the solutions has to be, because all these vendors are doing a lot of very good job in some part of the network, of the cybersecurity part. But in this case, Hillstone is like obtaining this information and try to consolidate and try to do a remediation, thinking about like one single brain in the operation.
And also to how to transmit this output this to the C level, right? The iSource has
Exactly.
this capability of reports for C level, so they are going to have a global view and some some advice actions that can be done.
Excellent. Excellent. Steve?
No, I think this has been a great conversation. I want to thank you guys for taking the time. I feel like I'm a little bit smarter, not a lot. Matt, you look smarter.
Yeah. And I feel a little less dumb.
No.
So different perspective, but this was really informative. I think this whole there's so much hype that gets built around new technologies and new waves in technology, and XDR is one of those. It's like trying to get to the meat of what it really is and how it adds value within an enterprise security team is critical. And I think you guys did a great job of helping demystify kind of the what XDR is. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation. But again, was an honor to converse with you guys, and of course with Rafa. Rafa is my bro. So thank you
Excellent.
for this conversation.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
feel the same.
And we'll be back, you and I, Matt, next month with another exciting cybersecurity tech talk. We don't know what the topic is yet, but I'm sure it'll be a good one.
Not as good as this stuff. Sorry.
Okay.